Welcome to the Wake Before the Day podcast with my parents, Clark and Bobby. We'll talk about the Bible and the Holy Spirit adventures. Thanks for listening.
Hey everybody, happy Friday. Clark and I are here, Mark chapter 13. It's Friday. We're glad about that. Yeah, we're talking about some important stuff here.
The signs of the end of the age.
That's a nice trailer voice. It's a deep trailer voice.
About as deep as I can go.
Anyway, we're at our table again, so we're going to try to actually get you guys the content before our children come and decide they want to give you content.
Hijack this thing.
But that is the point of Wake Before the Day, that you can read your Bible at your table, even when it's crazy, and the Lord will still meet you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he will. And so this chapter is also found in the Gospel of Matthew in his kind of biography, and then also in the Gospel of Luke. They talk about this apocalyptic end times. Jesus speaks of it. It's specifically in Luke 21, or if you really want to read a more lengthy account of it, go to Matthew 24 and 25. And really the disciples are trying to make sense of these things. And they're like, what? Jesus, like, when are these things going to happen? When is this end time going to occur? And what are we supposed to think about all of it? And if you could paint a bigger picture for this conversation, you just envision the kingdom of heaven clashing with the kingdom of darkness. I often think about some like the Star Wars movie posters, where it's like on one side you have the blue and you have the Jedi and the good guys, and on one side you have the red and the black. And it's not like there's this yin-yang dualism like Star Wars can portray at times with the balance of the Force, but it really is two kingdoms colliding and there being a all-out war. Obviously, we're fighting from victory because of Easter, because of what Jesus Christ has done, but there's still battles to be fought. And so what you read in chapter 13 actually has happened at one or two different moments throughout our world's history. And we can unpack that a little bit as we go.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's unpack.
So what stands out to you? For me, verses like 11, 12, 13, that's kind of like the core of my thinking.
Yeah, well, what was sticking out to me was at the end.
Great. I will go first. So on one hand, verse 11, Jesus is telling the disciples, like, basically, you're going to go continue my mission and you're going to be hated and killed and persecuted for it. So persecution, trial, and hardship are like at the heart of Christianity. Yeah. It's something that basically the Christian church in every other realm of life has known except for us as American Westerners.
Postmodern,
yeah. Like we're not picked on. Oh, good. She's back. Oh, hey, thank you. Thanks for that gooey thing.
Just don't make eye contact.
Don't make eye contact. No, keep going. And so Jesus is basically telling them, like, don't worry about it. Like, you're giving your life to me, but I'm going to give you the words to speak. And for us as Americans, we probably haven't been in a position yet where we were going to be arrested for following Jesus. Or had to worry about, like, what am I going to say before the proconsul or the lawyer or the judge because I'm a Christian? That might come in our lifetime. I wouldn't be shocked, but that is also probably still a ways off. And what he says here, the next couple of verses, is times are going to get tense. Verse 12 and 13, it says, brother will betray brother to death, as a father his child. Children will rebel against their parents and have them put to death. All men will hate you because of me, but he who stands firm to the end will be saved. And if you think back through the last couple of years, there have been a few things that have been pretty divisive. I think you know what I'm talking about. Where families have been divided even as to what they think about certain situations or how situations are handled or how we're supposed to live in light of such said situations. And really what Jesus is saying here, and we got Kit Kat in the house. You say hi?
Hi.
Say God bless you.
God bless you.
You want to share anything about what you've been learning about God? Oh, that's a cool Easter egg.
I don't have any cream because maybe I like the eggs.
You love the eggs? That's right.
Thank
All right.
you.
Go hide it and see if your sisters can find the egg. Okay? There you go. But basically, like, these moments have been very divisive, and Jesus is saying a time will come when following Jesus will cause divisions. If you're following Jesus the way he's called us to follow him, people are not going to accept it. Some will, but some won't. And it's going to become such division that it's going to split families, essentially. and it's going to get even more intense. And so for me, again, it's hard for me to make sense of all this, but Bobby and I were talking about some of the people we've been in small groups with, whether it's at Young Adults on Tuesdays or couples events, or even Bobby's D group at Thursday night group, and how there are people who have come to Christ and come to Emmanuel who actually have experienced a great deal of hardship and pain from their families. And so while this is not, like, I would say, common throughout America, it is happening for some people, whether it's they're coming from, like, the Catholic Church to the Christian Church, and some of these devout Catholic families are really mad, or it's people jumping ship from Buddhism or Hinduism to Christianity and being, neglected by their families. It is happening, but the scriptures kind of seem to imply that this is only going to happen more and more as time passes. When you get to verse 14, what's up? Oh, you got lots of dinosaurs? Woo, woo. With wheels?
Yep.
Oh, you got to thank Miss Nora for those. Oh, that is awesome.
And Dad, look at.
I'm at verse 14, Bobby.
Dad,
you want to read that?
Jurassic World.
That is so cool. Which one's your favorite?
This is what it sounds like in the NLT, verse 14. The day is coming when you will see the sacrilegious object that causes desecration standing where he should not be. Pay attention. Then those in Judea must flee to the hills. And then verse 15, a person out on the deck of the roof must not go down into the house to pack. What is happening?
The desolation. So again, this is when I was referring to this kind of thing happening before. Jesus is referring back to prophecies in the book of Daniel in the Old Testament, and how this is happening now in Jesus' time. But after Jesus' time, even, there were other things that occurred that lined up with his chapter. For instance, there was this guy named Antiochus Epiphanes the fourth, where he basically defiled the temple, and he put up a nasty altar to Zeus there, right in the middle of the temple, and it threw everybody. It'd be like someone coming to Emmanuel, kicking over the cross, knocking the communion stuff down, and sacrificing a child or an animal in the middle of our church building. I mean, you're like, how unsettling is that? And that's what these people are doing. And then later, about 40 years after Jesus died, in about 70 AD, the Romans just straight up tore the temple down. And so you think about the Roman Empire and all that stood for compared to the church and the temple and what that kind of represented for so long. You have this clash of two kingdoms. You have all-out war that's occurring. And in some instances today, there's very clearly that happening. I think about images that are from the church, whether like things that are vital to us knowing God. Like, for instance, like sexuality and gender. God creating male and female so that we would know God and know that we were both made in his image, and those two genders coming together as one unit helps us know God and fulfill the mission he's called us to. I think about the rainbow. When you see a rainbow, what do you think about? Unfortunately, a lot of people would probably say the LGBTQIA plus community, where really it's Noah's Ark. Like, God created the rainbow to be a sign and a symbol of peace for that he would never flood the earth again. For me, I'm just wondering, like, when and if ever is the cross going to come under attack, like the actual image of a cross or even a fish? Because those are two that have been very important and foundational for the Christian walk. And I think as you read this, you just have this idea and this sense of like labor pains, these groaning, these wars, these rumors of wars, the trial and tribulations that are occurring. And just like a mom who's about to give birth, the labor pains kick in, the contractions kick in. We're just going to continue to have more and more of this until Jesus Christ comes back. Is that going to be today, tomorrow? I have no idea. In a year? Maybe. In a century? Who knows? But that's why I guess that actually gives you a little bit of peace as a Christian when you watch the news and see the world seemingly coming undone, because it's actually to be expected while we still fight for peace and to love one another well. Scripture talks about
you were identifying a couple of things, though, that were helpful, like in verse 10, for the good news being preached to all the nations. Like when we talk about things that, you could look for, or things that, whatever, that would signify what?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that's one of the markers the Bible gives us that when Jesus Christ will return. That is when every nation, every language has the gospel, it appears. Verse 10 says, and the gospel must first be preached to all nations. And this is when Jesus is talking about his return after Peter, James, John, Andrew, ask him about it. So the gospel's got to be preached everywhere before I come back.
Mm-hmm. That's a good explanation. That's helpful, because I feel like these are confusing verses. You're like, wait, why are we talking about this?
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm so grateful for, like Clark said, was back at the beginning, was that Peter, James, John, and Andrew even ask this. See, it says in verse 3 that after Jesus was on the Mount of Olives, that they came to him privately. And I feel like that's an encouragement, even for these things, these huge, eschatological things that are hard to understand, that we don't know, that we might not ever know, that we're just still coming to Jesus. Like they came together, the four of them, to ask and say, like, what do you mean by this, or what's that gonna look like? And I think that's like the biggest takeaway for me is that their curiosity with Jesus and their need to maybe not know these things, but to at least come to their rabbi and ask. Because they have an actual relationship with him. And then you see that at the end too, where Jesus is saying, here's some things that are going to be going on that, are a big deal. But more than that, you guys, is verses 32 to the end. However, no one knows the day or the hour when these things will happen, nor the angels in heaven, nor the Son himself. Only the Father knows. And since you don't know when that time will come, be on guard. Stay alert. And I think that's kind of another huge takeaway for me there at the end. And then when you continue to, he tells the story about a man going on a long... Oh, hi, kitty cat.
What's up, Kit Kat? It's okay.
You
want your Spider-Man?
He tells a story about a man going on a long trip and how you must keep watch. The last verses... Okay, Quinny. Another one, Candy. Did you get an Easter egg? Okay, I'm going to finish up and then we can get one, okay? Here, you want to go with Dad right there? And then he'll show you. Ooh.
Want a carrot?
Because the big deal about these things isn't that these things are coming. The big deal about these things is Jesus himself. And so be on guard and stay alert. That's how it ends, like I was saying. So this is verse 36. Don't let him find you sleeping when he arrives without warning. I say to you what I say to everyone. Watch for him. So yeah, pay attention to the times. Pay attention to the signs. Don't be ignorant of these things. But more than that, have relationship with Jesus. Be urgent and immediate with that, the importance of that, and looking for him when he returns. Because like we know, he is coming again, and he's not going to come as a babe. Verse 26 talks about that. Then everyone will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds with great power and glory. And he will send out his angels to gather his chosen ones from all over the world, from the farthest ends of the heaven and earth. And so that's another, when Jesus comes again, he's not coming as a babe. He's going to be coming in his power on the clouds with glory. And so that's going to be a sight, you guys. So that's what's sticking out to me, that the beginning with the four disciples coming, seeking answers, but ultimately resting and finding peace and relationship with Jesus. And then at the end there again too, also where Jesus is saying, what's important is me. Like don't get hung up on all these theories of what could be happening or not happening. Spend your time in relationship with me.
Preach it, sister. Preach it. I bought us a minute or two. Told him to go tickle Kirby.
We made it though, you guys. 13 minutes and we did it. It's good.
That's right. Well, hey, we love to see you on Sunday, online or hopefully in person. Mm-hmm. Know you're loved. Have a great weekend and see you Sunday. God bless you.
The Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give him his peace. Have a great day.